Chapter 6, How Riches Come to You.
This principle is called the habit of going the extra mile, which means the habit of rendering more service and better service than one is expected to render, and doing it in a positive mental attitude. I'm going to tell you all I know about this magic principle of self-advancement, because it is the one rule you must follow if you expect to write your own price tag and to be sure of getting it. Let me describe this success principle for you in a brief formula which you can easily remember. I call it the QQMA formula, which means the quality of service you render plus the quantity of service you render plus the mental attitude in which you render service determines the space you occupy in your chosen calling and the compensation you get from your services.
At the core of Wallace's message in this chapter is that riches come to you by giving to every man more in-use value than the cash value of the thing you take from him. Book of Proverbs puts it in this way: curses on those who drive a hard bargain, blessings on all who play fair and square. Wallace starts this chapter by saying, when I say that you do not have to drive sharp bargains, I do not mean that you do not have to drive any bargains at all, or that you are above the necessity for having any dealings with your fellow men. I mean that you will not need to deal with them unfairly. He continues to say most people retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. They look upon poverty as part of the plan, a necessity of nature. They have the idea that God has finished His work and made all that He can make, and that most men must stay poor because there is not enough to go around. I will probably never understand why people, especially Christians, draw the conclusion that poverty is a virtue. I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. 3 John 1 verse 2. Wallace continues to say, they hold to so much of this erroneous thought that they feel ashamed to ask for wealth. They try not to want more than a very modest competence, just enough to make them fairly comfortable. You need not hesitate about asking largely. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom, said Jesus. Wallace continues to write that God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. Supreme intelligence is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs. It is God that worketh in you, to will and to do, said Paul. 3 takeaways. 1. To be rich, you can form things in your thoughts by getting a clear picture of the things you desire. Write the vision and make it plain. Habakkuk 2 verse 2. 2. By impressing your thoughts upon formless substance can cause the thing you think about to be created and be brought into your life. 3. In order to keep abundant living flowing, always conduct your personal and business affairs with a win-win attitude. Talking of abundance, having multiple sources of income is a great way to keep the abundance flowing. The more people we serve, the more riches come to us. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. Ecclesiastes 11:2. Always give people more in-use value than the cash value of the thing you get from them. Thus, you'll be adding to the world by working on the creative dimension rather than the competitive one.
Attitude changes your perception. Your perception changes your existence. That's all you're trying to do. That's all you're trying to do. After you've done that, here's what I want you to do. Write a list after you make this list of everything you're grateful for. I want you to read this list every morning you wake up of everything you're grateful for. After you've thanked Him for all this stuff, I want you to take another piece of paper out. I want you to write on this piece of paper everything you want. Everything you want. Now what He gonna do is He gonna tie them 2 lists together. So now since you're showing me all this gratitude for what I've already done for you, remember I said the more grateful you are, the more stuff He'll give you to be grateful for? Yeah. He gonna take this other list you got and He gonna start putting it on this side. Then He gonna take some more stuff He gonna put on this side. We'll take some more stuff and put it on this side. I'm telling you. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all don't think that works, I wish you would try it.
Gratitude, Chapter 7. Learning to say thank you is one of those first things a child is taught in most households. Why? Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Eckhart Tolle. The enlightened give thanks for what most people take for granted. Michael Beckwith. On the subject of gratitude, Wallace says the whole process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. First, you believe that there is one intelligent substance, God, from which all things proceed. For it is God who gives us the power to create wealth. Deuteronomy 8 verse 18. Second, you believe that this substance gives you everything you desire. Ask and it will be given to you. Matthew 7:7. And third, you relate yourself to it by a feeling of deep and profound gratitude. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. Chronicles 16 verse 34. He continues to say, the more gratefully we fix our minds on the Supreme when good things come to us, the more good things we will receive, and the more rapidly they will come. And the reason simply is that the mental attitude of gratitude draws the mind into closer touch with the source from which the blessings come. Gratitude alone can keep you looking toward the all and prevent you from falling into the error of thinking of the supply as limited, and to do that would be fatal to your hopes. I love the quote famously coined by Bob Proctor: "From abundance he took abundance, and still abundance remained." Being grateful keeps the abundance flowing into our lives. Wallace continues to say there is a law of gratitude, and it is absolutely necessary that you should observe the law. The law of gratitude is the natural principle that action and reaction are always equal and in opposite directions. Draw nigh unto God, and He will draw nigh unto you. Notice the grateful attitude that Jesus took, how He always seems to be saying, I thank Thee, Father, that Thou hearest me. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude, for it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. Wallace continues to say, the moment you permit your mind to dwell with dissatisfaction upon things as they are, you begin to lose ground. You fix attention upon the common, the ordinary, the poor, and the squalid and mean, and your mind takes the form of these things. Then you will transmit these forms or mental images to the formless, and the common, the poor, the squalid, and the mean will come to you. It is for this reason that watching negative news is highly discouraged, as these images are impressed upon the subconscious mind. Whatsoever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. Philippians 4:8. He continues to say, to permit your mind to dwell upon the inferior is to become inferior, and to surround yourself with inferior things. On the other hand, to fix your attention on the best is to surround yourself with the best, and to become the best. The creative power within us makes us the image of that which we give our attention. Energy flows where attention goes. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Faith is born of gratitude. The grateful mind continually expects good things, and expectation becomes faith. The reaction of gratitude upon one's own mind produces faith, and every outgoing wave of grateful thanksgiving increases faith. He who has no feeling of gratitude cannot long retain a living faith, and without a living faith, you cannot get rich by the creative method. At the end of the chapter, Wallace cautions us to be grateful for all the pleasant or not so pleasant people and experiences, because as he puts it, all things have contributed to your advancement. You should include all things in your gratitude, and indeed, rightfully so, Romans 8:28 tells us, we know all things work together for good. In everything, give thanks. Chapter 8. Thinking in the certain way. You don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. Wallace Wattles. I recently ran across a podcast blog on SeanCroxton.com. His quote for day 541 was so insightful. In it, he describes doing things in a certain way so beautifully. Thought I'd share, he gives the following example. Two people take the exact same classes. They both want to be certified health coaches. Their goal is to work from home, consulting 100% online, and to earn a passive income through courses and membership programs. They finish their classes, set up their websites and social media feeds, create their frameworks and systems, and away they go. But if we fast forward a few years, we'll almost certainly find this. One of our health coaches has a mile-long client waitlist and $1 million business, while the other is either barely getting by or has long since given up. Both business owners did all the things that business owners are supposed to do, yet their results were like night and day. So what happened? Well, while both did certain things to make their businesses go, the one with the successful business did these certain things in a certain way. One coach has a clearer, precise mental image of the exact number of clients she wanted to work with at a given time, while the other merely wanted to get more clients. While one of our coaches was ever consumed with getting clients, the other focused on giving as much as she could by creating free online content that helped people get results in advance of working with her. Though both wanted to create successful businesses, only one of them actually believed that she could. She had unwavering faith that only she could do it, but in her mind, it was already done. In fact, she was grateful for her clients and customers before she ever had any. While one perceived a little hard work as a threat to her health, the other was so inspired by her vision and mission that her work lifted her vibration and made her feel like the healthiest version of herself. Her magnetic energy is exactly why everyone wanted a spot on her schedule. And while one focused on the success of other competing businesses in her space, feeling as if there was no room for hers to succeed, the other knew that in this abundant world, there's always more than enough to go around. More than enough people are still in need of her help. Two businesses, two ways of being and doing, two completely different results. What set them apart was something more than strategy and tactics, but intention and attitude. They did certain things, what everyone says they should do, but one did those things in a certain way, while the other didn't. And that's not just how business works, it's how the universe works. This, in a nutshell, summarizes Wallace's chapter on thinking in a certain way. Thank you, Sean, for this piece. We will have Sean's podcast link on the comment section, so check his amazing content. Habakkuk 2 says, write the vision and make it plain. Wallace says that you must have a clear mental picture continually in mind, as the sailor has in the mind the port towards which he is sailing the ship. You must keep your face toward it all the time. You must no more lose sight of it than the steersman loses sight of the compass. He continues to say that your desire for riches must be strong enough to overcome mental laziness and the love of ease. He adds, behind your clear vision must be the purpose to realize it, to bring it out in tangible expression. And behind this purpose must be an invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours, that it is at hand, and you only have to take possession of it. Romans 4:17 says to call things that are not as if they are. Wallace reminds us to be as thankful for it all the time as you expect to be when it has taken form. The man who can sincerely thank God for the things which as yet he owns only in imagination has real faith. He will get rich. He will cause the creation of whatsoever he wants. Wallace concludes this chapter by saying, the whole matter turns on receiving once you have clearly formed your vision. When you have formed it, it is well to make an oral statement addressing the Supreme in reverent prayer, and from that moment you must, in mind, receive what you ask for. Mark 11:24. Therefore I say unto you, whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Live in the new houses, wear the fine clothes, ride in the automobile, go on the journey, and confidently plan for greater journeys. Think and speak of all the things you have asked for in terms of actual present ownership. Imagine an environment and a financial condition exactly as you want them, and live all the time in that imaginary environment and financial condition. Mind, however, that you do not do this as a mere dreamer and castle builder. Hold to the faith that the imaginary is being realized and to the purpose to realize it. Remember that it is faith and purpose in the use of the imagination which make the difference between the scientist and the dreamer. And having learned this fact, it is here that you must learn the proper use of the will. Chapter 9: How to Use the Will.
Like attracts like. You have to understand, you are a magnet. Whatever you are, that's what you draw to you. If you're negative, you're going to draw negativity. You're positive, you draw positive. You're a kind person, more people are kind to you. So you're like a magnet, and you got to understand something about like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
James Allen said, "We do not attract what we want, we attract what we are." This is the essence of the law of attraction, which is at the core of Wallace's teaching on the chapter on how to use the will. Aldous Huxley said, "There is only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self." Wallace explains this concept by saying that you do not need to apply your will to things in order to compel them to come to you. That would simply be trying to coerce God and would be foolish and useless as well as irrelevant. You do not have to compel God to give you good things any more than you have to use your willpower to make the sun rise. Substance is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. To get rich, you need only to use your willpower upon yourself. Mahatma Gandhi described the willpower by noting that strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from the indomitable will. Wallace continues to say, "When you know what to think and do, then you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. That is the legitimate use of the will in getting what you want. To use it in holding yourself to the right course. Use your will to keep yourself thinking and acting in a certain way. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there than elsewhere."
You got to create dream boards. You got to put the new car up on your mirror. Put the weight you want to be on the refrigerator. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Wallace continues to say, use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose, and use your will to keep your mind working in the right way. The picture of your desires, held with faith and purpose, is taken up by the formless and permeates it to great distances throughout the universe, for all I know.
You have to ask, believe, and receive. That's as simple as it gets, folks. It's very, very true. I really want you to understand that. Now, science says, show me and I'll believe. Faith says, believe and I'll show you.
Every hour in which your soul is possessed by unbelief sets a current away from you in the whole domain of intelligent substance. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. Notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief, and now you know the reason why.
The law of flotation was not discovered by the contemplation of the sinking of things. So that, like before the 15th and 16th centuries, all of the ships were made out of wood. Not because iron wasn't available and steel wasn't available, but because there was a belief that wood floated. So therefore you had to make ships out of things that floated. That's literally how and then someone came along and said that it has absolutely nothing to do with what things are made out of. It has to do with the amount of water that is being dispersed. That's what determines whether something will float or not. And I think about that all the time, because it's in the contemplation of what you desire that you create what it is that you want to have for yourself. It's in your willingness to contemplate it, and nothing more, according to Troward and mental science. So that I think about the Wright brothers, 100 or so years ago. It's like, and I've said the law of flying was not discovered by the contemplation of the staying on the ground of things.
Wallace continues to say, if you want to become rich, you must not make study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Health is never to be obtained by studying disease and thinking about disease. Righteousness is not to be promoted by studying sin and thinking about sin. And no one ever got rich by studying poverty and thinking about poverty. Medicine as a science of disease has increased disease. Religion as a science of sin has promoted sin. And economics as a study of poverty will fill the world with wretchedness and want. Do not talk about poverty. Do not investigate it or concern yourself with it. Never mind what its causes are. You have nothing to do with them. What concerns you is the cure. Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Wallace continues to say, since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts, and as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you should command your attention.
In my own ability to manifest things, that I think it's ultimately complete sanity, but I believe we're creators, and I believe we create with every thought and every word. Every moment is pregnant with the next moment of your life.
Wallace concludes this chapter by saying, use your willpower to keep your mind off the subject of poverty and keep it fixed with faith and purpose on the vision of what you want. Wallace starts this chapter by saying, you cannot retain a true and clear vision of wealth if you're constantly turning your attention to opposite pictures, whether they be external or imaginary. Wayne Dyer puts it in this way.
Giving up your personal history. And I learned it from a man named Carlos Castaneda, who once said that one day, he said, I finally realized that I no longer needed a personal history. And just like drinking, he said, I gave it up. And that, and only that, has made all the difference in the world. You know the nice thing about giving up your personal history is that if you don't have a story, you don't have to live up to it.
Wallace continues to say, do not tell of your past troubles or financial nature. If you have had them, do not think of them at all. Do not tell the poverty of your parents or the hardships of your early life. To do any of these things is to mentally class yourself with the poor for the time being, and it will certainly check the movement of things in your direction. Let the dead bury their dead, as Jesus said. Isaiah 43 says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing new things. I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. Philippians 3. Wallace continues to say, you can aim at nothing so great or noble, I repeat, as to become rich, and you must fix your attention upon your mental picture of riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim the obscure vision. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath all seemingly wrong conditions, the great one life ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. It is the truth that there is no such thing as poverty, that there is only wealth. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. And these can be best taught by showing them the way to affluence in your own person and practice. Others are poor because while they feel that there is a way out, they are too intellectually indolent to put forth the mental effort necessary to find the way and travel it. And for these, the very best thing you can do is to arouse their desire by showing them happiness that comes from being rightly rich. Others are still poor because while they have some notion of science, they have become so swamped and lost in the maze of metaphysical and occult theories that they do not know which road to take. They try a mixture of many systems and fail in all. James 1:8 says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Wallace cautions us to read only the most optimistic comments on the world's news, those in harmony with your picture. Wallace concludes this section by saying, the very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. You can serve God and man in no more effective way than by getting rich. That is, if you get rich by the creative method and not by the competitive one. A great affirmation to use daily. I now forget the former things. I do not dwell on the past. My ears are open to the new things God is doing. He is making a way in the desert and streams in the wasteland. I can perceive it. I now form a clear and definite mental image of the things I wish to have, to do, or to become. And I hold this mental image in my thoughts, in accordance to Habakkuk 2:2-3. I have written the vision, made it plain on tablets. Every time I read it, I know it is done, because the word becomes flesh. And I am now happy and grateful that God has fulfilled the desire.
Financial Therapy Cafe. We nurture abundance. We nurture abundance.